Oh, hi, everybody. My name is Matt Storrs, and welcome to Mattsplaining. On today's episode, I have an expert on who I'm very excited to speak with. Expert, please introduce yourself and tell us what you're an expert at.
Hi, my name is Max, and I'm better known online as Silver Picker, and I am an expert on numismatics, or for those of you who are not coin nerds, coin collecting and precious metals.
Fantastic. I think that a lot of people have been getting into coin collecting more and more as time has progressed. And, the ones that people try and focus on are like misprints and stuff like that. But there's a lot of coins that you can really do some amazing things with the coins that you're able to find out there in the world. So sometimes there'll be some oxidization, there'll be some coins that have higher copper content or what have you. And what you can do is if you get enough coins and you put them all in your pockets, you're jingle jangling around the city, eventually you can get to a point where if you try to pay for things with all the coins that you've collected, then you can start getting things for free because when you start pulling out, okay, like you have a rare coin and you're trying to convince them like this coin is worth $150 and so I'm going to buy this sandwich. I need to get it's a $10 sandwich. I need to get my $140 back. They're going to do the research. They're going to look online. They're going to realize, oh, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. And so then the next time you go into that sandwich shop, you just put down a regular penny and you say, yeah, this penny is worth $150. And they're like, this guy knows what he's talking about. So they don't even look it up this time. And then you just got that sandwich for a penny. And then that's really, what I think a lot of people are hoping to get out of, coin collecting. And that's a hopeful thing. I don't know how many people are able to get into that area of it. You have to be in kind of a small community and build a lot of trust that you immediately breach for. I don't know how good the sandwiches are, but presumably they're very good sandwiches if you're willing to breach that trust so quickly. Or maybe like you're traveling around and then that way you could do it if you're in a town for a week or something. That would be an effective way to do that. But then also there's the coin collecting of you get enough coins of a certain type. I believe it was in 1977. There was a pretty significant error in the dimes that were printed that year to where a lot of them have a little bit of uranium in them. So then there's been a lot of people trying to collect the uranium dimes from 1977.
I
And
hope
how,
not.
yeah, and that's the thing. There's a lot of the CIA, the FBI have been trying to track these dimes, and they're so small, and there's such a small amount of uranium in them. But if you collect enough of these uranium dimes, then something bad could happen. And luckily, they've been able to collect the majority of the uranium dimes, melt them down, separate out. I believe they use a centrifuge of some sort to like a metallic centrifuge, if that makes sense. So like they shake up everything really good and separate all of the different molecules and metals. And so they were able to, store that uranium in where it's no, supposed to be in uranium plates and glassware like in the olden days. That's
I must have missed that day in coin college, but sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah. And they try, it's not one of the things they often cover in coin college because that is something that they don't want people to get sidetracked in their coin passions to try and find these. I don't want to say like the dangerous side of coin collecting. They don't want you to get the national treasure side of spanning the world looking for these doubloons that might also hold the secrets to where Jesus is buried. You know what I'm saying? And but there's a whole subsection of people that do that, and you go into certain shops and they are ready to go at a moment's notice. If they see one of those doubloons come in, and it's each doubloon has a little letter on it, and you got to figure out which order the coins go in. And once you do, it has the magical incantation that grants you a wish or what have you. It all ties back to alchemy and the magic of the original and imbuing the metals because that's what they were doing. They were turning these regular, ordinary objects, they were turning steel or iron into gold. And then they're like, oh my God, I got to change it into something. I can't just have a golden sword. So they started turning them into coins, but then those coins maintain some of that residual energy. And so if you were able to collect all of the coins that were made out of that alchemy sword, you would be able to understand the basics of alchemy and be able to do it yourself. And, that would really destabilize the economy, I feel, if that got into the wrong hands. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of potential of these coins getting into the wrong hands. And so that's something that people need to be mindful of. Now, based on what you've heard so far, about how much of that would you say was accurate?
Oh, this is going to be a rough one. I am thinking that between the uranium dimes from 1977 and the golden sword alchemy coins, you got about, you know what? I'm going to give you 10%
Oh,
for
wow.
enthusiasm about the topic.
Okay.
And when I tell people that my job involves teaching people about coin collecting on the internet, they usually just give me this glazed over stare. So you're already ahead of the pack just by being excited about the topic. I'm going to give you a D plus
Okay. Okay, I'll
on
take that.
accuracy.
I'll take that. I'm happy with the D plus. I'm a big proponent of enthusiasm and excitement. So tell me what got you enthused and fascinated by coin collecting.
It's funny because there's actually two different origin stories for me as the silver picker and how I got into coins. The first was when I was a kid, my dad got me into it. He had a childhood coin collection that he collected with his dad, and he gave it to me when I was a kid to teach me about the different countries and geography and talk about money in general. And I loved collecting them. And like most childhood hobbies, it fell by the wayside eventually. And I didn't really think much of it until I was in college. And when I was in college, one of my roommates was this real wheeler dealer schemer type. And he comes into our college house one day and he throws a wad of $100 bills down on the table. And my other roommates didn't even want to indulge him, but I was champing at the bit. And I said to him, I go, come on, what's going on? And he just goes, silver, baby, silver. And he was going around to garage sales, buying up all the broken jewelry, bits of silver and gold and selling them in New York's Diamond District and making a mint because gold and silver had reached their all-time highs. So he taught me how to do that. And as I was buying all this jewelry, people started asking me if I also buy silver coins. And my
Huh.
natural answer was, of course I do. And I ended up starting to look into it and I was learning about the different coins on YouTube. And little by little, I discovered that I actually enjoyed the hobby and it reconnected me with my childhood collecting. And that's more or less how I got my start in it. And when I was watching these videos to try and learn, I thought to myself, I could do better than this. These videos are terrible. And I put up my first YouTube video, and lo and behold, it was also terrible. And I keep up all my YouTube videos, but they are the first 20, 30 of them are more or less unwatchable. But that's how I got started on collecting. And my teaching people about coin collecting online became a cycle where I taught more people about it to get them excited about it. And it in turn got me more excited about my own hobby.
Absolutely. I feel like that kind of that's the most beautiful thing about any hobby, the self-perpetuating circle that it creates. Because once you find the right people and the people that are your people, quote unquote, that's just going to continue to fuel and it's just going to keep going and building. And I always find that so fascinating when somebody can, when they've noticed that sort of thing. That's really cool.
Yeah. Collecting without a community is hoarding. So,
Exactly. That's yes, that is a good point. Absolutely. So, what is the thing that you would say to somebody if they were interested in getting into collecting or trying to look through maybe like a coin collection that their grandparents had or something like that?
see, now you're getting close to, you're getting more and more accurate because a lot of people do get into the hobby after they inherit a collection from grandpa or their father or uncle or whoever. And they're going through it. They know it's worth something. They have no interest in coins. And then all of a sudden, they start seeing some interesting things. It starts to pique their interest. And there's a couple of things that some of them get bit by the bug, right?
Hmm.
So there are some few different things that I would say to a new collector. The first is the number one thing I always say, this is more of a PSA, is if you inherit a coin collection or you have a coin collection, do not clean your coins. It's
Interesting.
something that is counterintuitive because you see a grubby old coin, you think, oh, I could shine it up and it'll be worth more. But to a untrained eye, a clean, shiny coin and a coin that was shiny from the day it was minted look the same. But to a collector's eye, it's completely different look. And believe it or not, cleaning a coin can destroy like 90+% of the value. So I
Really,
always
that is
tell people,
fascinating.
yeah. And I've had so many examples because I buy collections all the time. That's one of my side hustles. That's how I got into it, as I said. And there are times where I'll say, by the way, don't clean any of the coins no matter what. And they'll say, okay, of course not, of course not. I get there, and then the whole collection is cleaned. And I go, I thought you said you weren't going to clean them. And they go, you could tell?
Oh,
And I
wow.
always sigh and say yes, and you just destroyed any additional premium that the coins had. So that's a PSA. But the real important thing is understanding what you're interested when it comes to coin collecting. There's a bunch of different types of collectors, right? There's people that are speculators, right? They're in it for the money, which I actually don't think is a problem, right? You want to buy and sell, you want to invest. I think that's great. There's people that are like aesthetes, right? They think that the coins are beautiful, they're artwork, and they want to collect them for their beauty. Others want to collect them for their historical value, right? People collect coins from the biblical era or from early US history, whatever it is. Figure out what you are interested in and start like that. And the most important piece of advice is if a deal, and this is probably true about anything really, if a deal seems too good to be true, it is. There are a lot of vultures in this industry that are looking to take advantage of new collectors.
Mhm.
And the best way to protect yourself is as a newbie, while you're still learning, while you're still watching videos and listening to podcasts and reading articles, just don't spend that much. If you don't buy an expensive coin, you're never going to be exposed to too much risk.
Absolutely. And what would you say about like coins that are sold on television? I remember coins from my youth
Ah, yes.
that get sold, and I was like, that's a really beautiful coin. I remember something like it was iridescent, if I recall
Yes.
correctly. And I'm like, oh, that's a really cool thing. And they make this big pitch that like, oh, it's going to increase in value. It's so cool. And I'm like, as a little kid, I'm like, I don't care about value. I just want to get that coin. And nobody, I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have
Yeah,
a checking.
thankfully.
Yes, exactly. I didn't have a checkbook or anything like that. But I would say that had I invested in this iridescent coin 25 years ago, would that have been a good investment?
So it's a really good question, and I get that a lot. And unfortunately, I buy a lot of collections from people who had accumulated their collection from Home Shopping Network or QVC or any of these TV infomercials.
Right.
And I was going to say almost always, no, they always lose money on it.
Mm,
And that's one of I've done a few videos actually, Coin Expert reacts videos to these HSN and QVC videos. And basically, a big part of my YouTube channel and what I do teaching people about coin collecting is teaching people who are new to the hobby how to avoid getting scammed or ripped off.
I
And
see.
I divide scam and rip off into two categories, right? Like
Hmm.
scam is they tell you you're going to get one thing and you get something else. A
Right.
rip off is you just are overpaying for what you are buying. And that's the category that I put these home shopping network type things into. I think that they border on scam because they prey on the elderly
Right.
in most cases. But essentially, if you take a look at virtually any coin being sold on TV, literally just look on eBay or Google it, and you will find the exact same coin at a 50% discount as the standard market rate. So
Wow.
it's not like the coins themselves are bad. Those coins are all great coins that they're selling. They're authentic, they're beautiful, they're interesting, but they are putting them at a 100% markup. So you could literally just Google it and buy it from a mainstream seller, a bullion dealer or coin seller online, and you'll get the exact same coin for half the price.
That's the one thing I love about being in the modern age. Of 25 years ago, my pretense wasn't to check online of whether or not I could
Mm-hmm.
go and get that coin. But I realize now, I'm like, if I really wanted that coin, if it was really that beautiful, I still probably could go online and get that coin and be like, oh, this is such a cool coin. And I don't have to have this longing for this idea of when I was a little kid. I can just be like, oh, yeah, that probably is still out there. And if you want something because you found it beautiful, you can still have it. But to think of it as something to get taken by the sales pitch, so to speak, I don't have to feel guilty that like I missed out on my opportunity because that
Yeah.
opportunity's still here if I want it.
But be careful because you know what it sounds like. This is how a lot of people get bitten by the bug. They say, "Oh, I'm not a coin collector. I just this one looks really nice and it's from my it has nostalgia. I just want to get one." And then you get one. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, you know what? That one's also really nice. And all of a sudden you're a coin collector.
Would you, okay, so are coins inherently slippery, would you say?
Ooh, interesting. That is a question that I have never been asked before.
Okay.
And I would say somewhat physically and certainly metaphorically.
Exactly. I think that when I think of coins, I do think slippery. They could slip out of my hand. And I think that ultimately, if you think about a coin being slippery and slipping out of your hand, you pick up that coin and then you see another coin on the street and you see another coin on the street. And before you know it, that one slippery coin has led you down the path of becoming a coin collector because you're like, oh, that's so amazing.
I
Um,
never thought I'd be agreeing to that, to that idea that coins are slippery and that's what leads you to coin collecting, but I am. You're
that's
100% right.
I sometimes a broken clock is right. One thing I'd like to discuss. What are your thoughts on like wishing wells or
Okay.
like fountains in a like a park or they people throwing their coins into those? Do you feel that if I was wanting to get into coin collecting, that would be a good place to start of starting to collect all those wish coins and then sort through them?
You get their wishes too, I think.
I
I think
believe
that's
so.
how it works.
Yeah, I believe so.
But you and I are of a single mind, or at least you and I as a when I was a 8 year old, because I do remember not understanding why my dad wouldn't let me collect the coins from the fountain. They were right there. I said I don't even have to go all the way in. And he said, no, those are not for you, those are not for taking.
Hmm.
And I said, yeah, but if you find a penny on the floor, that's okay to take. Why can't I take the one off the floor of the wishing well? I'll leave it to you and your listeners' discretion about the ethics of picking up a coin off the floor versus picking it up off the floor of a wishing well.
Okay. Okay. I think that's a good place to leave it to the ethics of folks. I feel like my listeners are overall pretty ethical people. Max, this has been so enjoyable and so much fun, and I feel like I've learned quite a bit. If people want to learn more about you or more about what you do, where would you recommend that they go?
Yeah, so if you're looking to learn about coin collecting or you just want to go down a strange, nichey rabbit hole, you can find me on YouTube at Silver Picker. I've recently crossed the 200,000 subscriber mark, so you'll be joining the ranks of many other coin nerds.
Definitely.
And I also have a great website, thesilverpicker.com. And what's great about that is right on the homepage, you can put your email in and get a newsletter, a weekly roundup of everything there is to know about coins. And it's great for people who are getting into the hobby and want to learn more, and also people who want to find deals, because I always have deals that I find online and I pass them forward to my newsletter fans.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for joining me today. I really enjoyed myself.
Thank you. Me too. My pleasure.
Wonderful. My name is Matt Storrs, and this has been Mattsplaining.